Hi, guys. How is everybody tonight? Hope you're all doing great. Just going to get Instagram going here. I am making sure that we are up to game on. Oops. On making sure that we're all up to game on. Yeah, it is. Okay, so today's topic is how not to be stupid around wildlife, but I'm switching it up to how to be smart around wildlife. Okay? So I'm assuming that the 364 means that I'm at 364 followers or subscribers. So that's awesome. So today we are definitely going to be talking about wildlife, and how to be smart about it, how to avoid getting hurt by it, and to help me out with that, I have a mix of bag of tricks that we're going to be using as we discuss this today. We're going to start off with the amazing variety of different toys that I have. But we are going to be talking about animals that start off with that most of us probably don't think much of, but we're still going to be talking about them and hopefully learning a little bit about them. Okay, so that's what's going on. So we're going to start off by talking about mostly about the stuff that we don't think much of, or at least I don't, because most of the time, unless I'm really out there and I'm really, really stressing, I don't think too much of it. But apparently, I need to, because otherwise, I would not be doing this live, right? And obviously, I'm also not as prepared as I needed to be because I don't have everything out like I need to. But that's okay. We can live with a little bit of disorganization, right? Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and get started because what the heck, I'm running behind. Okay, so first up, we're going to talk about spiders. A lot of us are fearful of spiders. We see a spider, and the first thing we want to know, is it dangerous? Hard to say because unless I can see it, I can't tell you. So, if you live in an area where you have either black widows or brown recluses, or or any other type of dangerous spider, check your shoes in the morning, knock them out. Don't put your hands in there and start feeling around. Don't just slip your shoes in and feel around. You want to make sure that you can double check that there's nothing in there. Check your clothes also. And the other thing that you want to do is check your bed before you go to sleep at night. That way you don't, and don't put your hands where you can't see what's there. Okay? Same thing with scorpions. You want to know where they're at. You want to know where your hands are going. Don't stick your hands where you can't see what's around you. Meaning, if you're moving a log, don't put your hands where you can't see. Centipedes, same thing. Don't handle them. Leave them alone. The bigger they are, the more toxic they are. Yes, or your feet. Ants. There are some ants that do sting. Fire ants will sting. Harvester ants will sting. If you know you have a chance of having fire ants around you, don't get involved with a nest because they will swarm. Bats. Don't freak out. But if you do get a bat in the house, open your windows so that the bat can get out. Don't handle it because there is a possibility, even how small of a possibility, there is a possibility that perhaps the bat could have rabies. And I'm not going to say if they do or don't because not my job. The cane toads, you're better off not messing with them, but if you do have them in your yard, you want to watch that because dogs can be hurt or killed by these animals. Same thing with cats. Now, it would be rare that anybody on the opposite side of the country from where I'm at might come across a Gila monster. But Gila monsters are venomous. They can bite. If you see one, leave alone. I believe they're protected. So another really good reason to leave them alone. Just don't mess with them. Leave them alone. Let them do their thing. You're apt to be happier if you follow that rule. Also, if you're going to Australia, and this is silly, I know, but if you're down in Australia and you see a pretty shell sort of shaped like this, or like this, leave it alone. Don't pick it up because unless you're sure that the animal inside is dead, these animals can sting, and the sting can knock you for a loop. It can even kill you. So best to not mess with them. Now we're going to get into the bigger animals because those are more fun, and I need to slow this down, so ask questions. Again, lots of really good stuff coming up in lives over the next 2 months, so be looking for that. I'm excited for it. Snakes. And by the way, this is a replica. It is not real. But let's talk about snakes. Most snakes, given a chance, they want nothing to do with you. So if you see a snake and you don't know what type it is, rather than kill it, leave it alone. Give it space, back off 10 feet, make a lot of noise, bang on the ground, give them a chance to run away. There are some snakes that might hold their ground. A rattlesnake is going to rattle. They're going to, they might rattle, I should say. And then they will, if they see that that's not working, they might, if you're too close, they might strike. So you don't want to do that. Once it's into sort of this position, that S position, they're getting ready to strike. You need to back off, give them space, let them go. Most snakes want nothing to do with you. They don't want to waste that venom. And if they can, they will leave. But, I can't stress this enough, even a dead venomous snake can still strike. Those nerves can still fire. They can still strike, and they can still envenomate. So if you see a dead snake, don't mess with it. Don't pick it up. Leave it alone. If you see a live snake, leave it alone. Don't mess with it. Snakes do a lot of good. They eat rodents. They eat mice, which can potentially spread disease. So leave them alone. It's best to just let them be. Let them do their thing. They don't want to mess with you any more than you really want to mess with them. Now, I'm going to pull these out because I do want to talk about this a little bit. Well, maybe I don't want to do this because these things are just pointing everywhere. This is a porcupine quill. It's not one of ours because ours are not this big. But the best way to avoid getting a porcupine in you or a porcupine quill is to leave them alone. Give them space. They are only out to protect themselves. So if you do see one, give them space. They can't throw these. You have to make contact, or they have to make contact with you in order to get these. But they hurt. Don't do something that's only going to get you hurt. It's better to be smart when you're out and about than it is to get hurt. Also with snakes can hide. They can be underneath logs. They can be underneath boards. So again, watch your hands as you're moving stuff because you never know what's going to be underneath that log or that rock. Next up, if any questions up to this point, if you have questions, answer them now. Give me some questions as you go along. I will do my best to answer them. So I want to talk about predators. Now, this is a wolf. This is a mountain lion. And this is a brown bear or a grizzly bear. Now, if you don't live in the United States, that's fine because sort of the same rules apply to other predators as well. We have a tendency to be afraid of predators. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be afraid. But the one thing you don't want to do, no matter what the predator is, you don't want to run. So if I'm out hiking in Utah or in California or anywhere where there might be a mountain lion and I see one or it sees me and I start running, that instantly sets them off thinking, up, I got prey, I'm going to go after it, I'm going to kill it. So if you don't want to end up on a predator's list, don't run. Keep walking sort of fast. Keep your eyes not on the predator itself, but where you can see it, and keep walking. Don't stop. If you see babies, I don't care what type of baby it is. It could be a baby mountain lion, a baby wolf, a baby bear, a baby bison, anything. Leave it alone. More often than not, mom is nearby. If you get in the way of mom and the baby, you are going to get hurt. And not just a little bit of hurt, but a big hurt. They are going to protect their offspring. And if you're in the way, you are the problem, not the animal. If you are in the wild, there are things that you can do to avoid an attack. One, don't, unless you have to, don't have your animals with you. Don't bring your dog or your cat in the places where there are big animals, because a bear, a mountain lion, or a wolf might consider your animal food. And if you have that animal with you, you could get attacked. So follow the rules and leave your animals at home. They don't belong where these animals are. What else? What other questions do you have? If you're in a park like Yellowstone and they say keep 100 yards away, keep 100 yards away. Those rules are there to protect you and the animals. Because if an animal hurts you, chances are that animal is going to be put down, and that's not fair to the animal in any shape or form. Next, yes, don't feed them. Animals, I know we feed birds, but when you feed an animal a lot, okay, you're sending signals to that animal that people provide food. And that's when people get in trouble, because you're feeding the animal, you're setting that animal up for failure. They don't know that, like, if I'm putting out food and I'm feeding my neighborhood coyote, and Carol, who lives across the street, is out there and the coyote approaches her looking for food, she could end up getting hurt. So don't feed the animals. Next up, I want to talk about animals that are not predators. I have 3 that I picked out. One is the wild boar, a moose, and a buffalo. These animals are not cows. They're wild animals. They're not there for you to pet. just because they're in a park situation, they're not in zoos. They are wild animals, and if you get too close and they see you as a threat, they're going to attack. These guys are known to gore people. Those horns on their heads are very real. They are known to kill, and they will. Yes, and they will. They will protect their young if they have them. They're especially dangerous during the rut. And yes, they are not photo opportunities. This is not a thing where you can go out and have a selfie with them. That will get you killed. None of these animals are photo opportunities. Any deer, whether it's a moose or a white-tailed deer or a mule deer, they usually will not attack with their antlers. They're going to attack with their feet. And you can get damaged. You can be killed. This animal is the size of a horse. Yes, elk too. Or possibly bigger than a moose. Or bigger than a... Uh-oh. Sorry, I lost contact there for a second. Everybody good? Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I am Nature Guy X46. I sometimes forget to do that, forget to introduce myself. In the wild, that's a little bit hard. They are the biggest of the a bull buffalo might be bigger. But moose are pretty big. They're one of the biggest herbivores in next to this guy. They're the biggest. And they are pretty strong. If you see them, give them distance, obey the rules. If they say don't feed them or don't get, within, I think it's 75 yards or 25 yards. No, reindeer's not as big as a moose. Reindeer is actually on the smaller side. But even a reindeer have hooves and they might attack. Give them space. An animal the size, you don't want an animal the size of a horse nailing you in the head with their hooves. You also don't want to be gored by antlers. So these guys, wild pigs or wild boar, are not to be messed with. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the tusk. And they actually can sharpen the tusk. These guys have self-sharpening knives. And they will not back down. They will kill dogs, they will kill people. Yeah. So if you see them, back off. Leave the killing of the control of certain populations to the experts. Yes, Bambi may not hurt you, but mamas will. And this probably is a male. I'm guessing it's a male. Any animal that has babies gonna be mean if you get in their way. If they feel like you're a threat, you're too close. I want to talk about alligators and crocodiles. Now, in the United States, crocodiles are, or alligators are much more common than than crocodiles. Alligators can be just about anywhere in Florida. Um, they are dangerous, very, very dangerous. They can be fed, they can learn just like an animal, just like a mammal, rather. These jaws are set to close, and once they get you, they will get you in a death roll. Not trying to be mean, but these guys can and do put the hurt on. Don't feed them because, like we said earlier, they learned that people mean food, and that can be bad news. Also, these guys can hide in really, really shallow water and can be basically invisible. So you don't want to be swimming in water if you don't know if there's alligators in it. So if you're down in Florida, don't go into water because unless it's a pool, because alligators could be in there, and a mama alligator, mama crocodile, they do defend their nest. So be mindful of that. These guys are not to be toyed with. They are not there to entertain you. None of these animals are. They're here to be respected. They're here for us to enjoy. But if man gets in there and we start doing our thing, somebody's going to get hurt. So be smart. Use your head. Don't assume that it's okay to do something and you get hurt. Next, I want to talk about bees and wasps. Now, a bee, most bees, as long as you're not messing with the nest, pretty much they're going to leave you alone. Wasps and hornets are more aggressive than bees. A wasp, if it feels that the nest is threatened, they're going to attack. Now, the problem with bees and wasps, especially wasp, if they sting you, they release a pheromone, basically a hormone, and it's triggered to alert the other bees or wasp that there is an enemy nearby, and if you're close to the nest, you could be in serious, serious trouble. So don't go after a nest unless you're ready to put up with the fight, because they will fight. So, and it can be hard because some wasps do nest in the ground. And I realize that. You just need to be aware that they're there and try not to be where they are so you don't get hurt. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Because I was planning to go an entire hour, but I think I basically got through everything. If there's a gap in your house that they can get in, they're going to get in. Yeah, that's a hard one because if they can get in through a crack, chances are they're going to. So that's something you need to look at your house and find out where they're coming in from and then stop them from coming in. Whether that means you're putting insulation in there to keep them from coming in, to physically putting something there and keeping them out. Because it can be a fight. I know, I've been there. It is not fun. Yeah. Paper wasps are notorious for doing that. Now, if it is you just have to watch and figure that out, because they will make use of anywhere that they can get in. Right now, your queens are hibernating for the most part. Either they're hibernating, either the queen is off hibernating, or something along those lines. It can be rough. It can be rough to keep animals away. Another thing, just to help you out, in the long run, I don't know a lot of people that do this, but if you don't have a fenced-in yard, or even if you do have a fenced-in yard, mostly, yeah, there might be some that overwinter as eggs, but for the most part, the queen, more often than not, is the only one that actually survives. In some cases, they may all go except for the queen. I know bumblebees, the queen will leave the nest and she'll find a place to hibernate. Uh-oh. Something happened. I don't know what that was about. Yeah, but my camera on my I lost my camera on Instagram. It was weird. I was saying something. Oh yeah. Animals. Maybe if you have a dog or a cat, and we've talked about this before on this channel, don't feed your animals outside. I know some of us, we do and we shouldn't, but feeding your animals outside is a risk. Putting your animals outside is a risk, because any predator, whether it's wolves or bear or cougar or mountain lion, whatever you want to call them, if you put your animal outside, you're standing a chance of these animals getting into the food or possibly grabbing your dog or cat. And that's a reason why they tell you not to go hiking with your dog, because if you go hiking with your dog in the wrong area, they could end up being attacked. So yeah, don't do something that's going to get your animals hurt. The other thing that could happen is some of these animals, all of these animals that we've talked about, that is the mammal ones, can all get rabies. There's only one mammal in North America that I know of that cannot pass rabies, and that is the possum, the Virginia possum. They cannot pass rabies, but everything else can pass rabies. But wolves, along with raccoons and maybe some other animals, can pass distemper. That can be deadly to dogs, so be aware of that. Raccoons, I think, can get it. You want to avoid that. You want to keep your animals healthy. You want to keep yourself healthy. And yes, if you live in a major city or even outside of a major city, there's coyotes. Yes. Our possum is Opossum. Typically, we think of possums as living in Australia or perhaps South America. But the opossum, or the possum, that the Virginia possum, is the only marsupial that we have here in North America. I hope that answers your question. And possums really are sort of special animals because not only can they not pass rabies, our Virginia possum, cannot pass rabies, and they eat ticks. So, yeah, don't kill possums. But coyotes, if they can get their hands on a dog or a cat, and when I say dog, I'm talking smaller dogs, they won't even think about it. Also, a cat or a small dog, eagles will take them. A great horned owl, if they're out at night, yeah, probably would take them too. So if you really, really love your animals, do yourself a favor and don't let them out. Keep them inside. I know that's not an easy thing to do because cats can slip out, dogs can get away. It's just not good for them to do that because in North America, in Asia, in Africa, even in places in Europe, there are animals that will kill them, attack them. So, yes. Yes, Ellie is owl chow. That is very true. I watch all the time because that we have hawks that might get her. So you want to be thinking about what's out there. And you want to be smart about the animals. You should know, as a homeowner, you really owe it to yourself to know what what venomous snakes live in your area. You want to be aware of the large carnivores, if there are any that live in your area. And it doesn't hurt to know the poisonous other animals that live in your area. An animal that I forgot to mention is the iguana. They have this nice long tail, and they have it for a reason. This is like a whip, and they can whip that tail out and slap you with it, And that tail can actually take you to the bone. So, as much as you want to control them, because in Florida, if you capture one, you have to kill it. Watch that tail because that tail can be dangerous. The important thing is that you know what lives in your area, and you should just know what's in your area. I can't stress that enough. Yeah. Well, you probably also have there's a good possibility that there's raccoon and probably also coyote. Not less than, well, maybe a mile away from my house along Deep River, there's coyote. So they're out there, and coyotes do hunt. They're not just scavengers. Well, foxes foxes aren't as much of an issue. I mean, yeah, I suppose if you have maybe small dogs, maybe. But they're more nocturnal, but again, they can carry rabies and probably distemper. Skunks carry rabies. Squirrels can carry diseases. Owls don't really pose much of a threat to humans, but if you have animals outside at night, especially small animals, a great horned owl might take them. Bats, the main thing is you don't want to handle a bat with your bare hands. And deer, now, deer are most active from dusk and then dawn. They're in that in between areas. But a mother deer very often will leave the baby and go off and graze. And so your dog could encounter one. Usually, mom is not too far away. Again, something to keep in mind. Come springtime, watch your animals. Watch your animals. Know what is in your area. Now, where I live, I have never seen one except for in like a nature center. But we do have a rattlesnake. Never seen one, but they are out there. They're rare, but they are venomous. Also, not that you should be afraid of them because I don't think you should, but garter snakes are technically a rare fanged venomous. They just lack a poor delivery system. I think, well, yeah, there are other snakes out there though. We do not have, or we're not supposed to have, copperheads. We're too far north. And also, cottonmouths were too far north. However, there are water snakes. A northern water snake will not typically let you hold them. They will bite. Even a garter snake may attempt to bite, and they're usually pretty docile, but they will defend themselves. I have handled garter snakes. Yeah. Most people will not have a reaction from them. However, if you're allergic, you might get some swelling. Also, think about what snakes eat. there's going to be bacteria in the mouth, and you're basically getting a puncture wound. So you want to avoid that. If you don't know if a snake is venomous or not, don't pick them up. I would have to see it. I've never heard of cottonmouths in our area. I know down by Indianapolis, I know they have what am I thinking? They have canebrakes, rattlesnakes. Probably not a cottonmouth, probably a northern water snake. People will sometimes get them confused because they're in the water and water snakes can be bitey. Remember, they don't want to mess with you. They want to scare you away. But a lot of people get them confused because they do. However, that being said, animals don't always know the maps that we have. So sometimes animals do show up where they're not wanted. But typically they're found further south. I would have to contact the DNR to find out if there have been any sightings up here in our area. But my guess is mostly it's going to be northern water snake in our area anyway. There are snakes that do get confused for other animals. And that's sad because sometimes people overreact and they do kill them. And we want to avoid that. That's where people like me and the DNR come into play, because we don't want to see animals getting killed. Not even the venomous ones, because they do have their place. They do have their place in nature. Even the predators have their place. Any questions? Any other questions? And then I am going to say good night if there's not. Give it a few minutes for people to. It is, and if you go around and you willy-nilly decide that you're going to get rid of rattlesnakes, for example, then you could end up with an explosion of mice. Mice can carry hantavirus. Out west, some of the rodents carry fleas. Some of those fleas carry a bubonic plague. If you wipe out the wolf or the predators, you get an overflow of herbivores, which can lead to diseases among them. It can lead to starvation because they're eating more plants than can be sustained. Yeah. And that's what we're fighting, is we're fighting that delicate balance that unfortunately in a lot of areas has already been damaged. And the more species that we lose, the more damage is being done. Yeah. So it is. We've been at this for 50 minutes now. I am going to say good night. Thank you for coming out. Hopefully, we can get more people coming. That would be great. If you're watching this afterwards, because I already know where Carol lives, let me know where you live, what time it is there. Hopefully, you're not dealing with all of the snow and storms. And if you are, be safe. Peace out. Love y'all, and good night. Love you, Instagram. Whoops. Sorry, Instagram. I dropped you.